Anyway, moving on to our next show, we get to talk about something that we actually enjoyed, and that was watching the Dallas Cowboys beat the tar out of the Carolina Panthers 30-14. Cooper Rush played probably the best game of the season for him weekend. And it looks like this defense at least is refusing to quit on the season. I don't know what it is. I don't really feel like realistically we have anything to prove, but the Cowboys definitely are showing some pride, some fight, and they're continuing to try to make something out of nothing, make chicken salad out of chicken shit, basically. So
pretty much.
With that being said, man, let me start off by saying Rico Dowdle continuing to run the rock effectively. Now, keep in mind the teams that we've played against these last few weeks aren't necessarily world beaters against the run.
Nope.
Kind of take you with a grain of salt until you see it against a top 5, top 10 defense. Then at that point, we can have a more serious conversation about how effective Rico Dowdle will be. But based on this past weekend's performance, man, I think Rico Dowdle running hard, running strong, running violently. He kind of reminds me of Marion Barber.
I was about to say the same thing.
His style of running.
Yeah.
See Zeke's little slow fat ass trying to run. And, you know, he's done. He's done so. Like, put that horse out of his misery already. Send him to the glue factory. CD Lamb continues to play hard, continues to do what he can with one good shoulder. You see him when he gets hit, and when he gets hit, he kind of struggles, but he doesn't sit out. You know, like he might take a breather, but he's back in there. He's not sitting out, you know, missing reps. Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, those guys continue to kind of offer some help. Brandon Cooks is out there running some routes. Kavontae Turpin, bro, I don't know if it's just me, but every time Kavontae Turpin gets his hands on the football, I get excited. I'm like, bro, we could see something special here. To come across to me. Guys, if you watch this, don't get your panties in a wad when I make this comparison, but he's kind of starting to remind me a little bit of like a Devin Hester type caliber player, where he's a smaller guy, but he's really electric and he can make a big play from out of nowhere. So I like that. Offensively, Cooper Rush, like I said, probably had the best game he's had of his season this past weekend. And I mean, he was throwing the ball a little bit more downfield, which is a relief. It kind of looked like he was playing a little more loose. Like, I'm gonna just sling it, and it's gonna be what it is. Offensive line did a great job blocking for him up front, and they're opening up holes for the run game, which is what we kind of talked about. I don't know if Zach Martin being hurt and being out, you bring in somebody like a Brock Hoffman that's like, hey, I'm gonna take care of this, and then you're bringing in these younger guys who ultimately you weren't expecting to put out there, but these younger guys are playing hard. They're fighting. I don't know if it's they're fighting to try to maybe make a name for themselves, or they're fighting because they're not established yet, and they're like, hell, this is my time to make a name and be established, and not be like Devondre Campbell if they call me and tell me, hey man, we're gonna have to bring you back down for a little bit. But it just kind of is what it is. But you see that with this young offensive line, and you're just like, that's promising, because it kind of reminds you of what it looked like when Zeke first came here and that run game that we had. Again, we're a long ways off from what it used to be. Absolutely. I'm not saying we're world beaters by any means, but to see that, it does give you some excitement. Julio, offensively, before we move over to the defense, offensively, what did you think about this game from an offensive perspective? What got you wet, and what didn't do it for you?
For me, I have to start by saying that when I watched the entire game one, so I got to see every bit of everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Instead of catching like the last minute or so as for like the last 8 games that I've been watching. But in any case, the first just the first drive that we started with in the first quarter, at first we looked horrible. I'm not even going to sugarcoat code it or anything. We didn't look like we were in sync. We didn't look like we were doing anything special. We weren't making any yardage. I think we were 3 and out like the first 3 or 4 series. So it wasn't something that was spectacular. As the game progressed, and as you saw us starting to put drives together, starting to get some positive yards. Again, I think you said it. You said it right. By this offensive line, even though it's a young offensive line, you can see that they're starting to grow into their roles. Like you said, now that some of the veteran guys that have been injured and are hurt and are sidelined, they're getting that opportunity to show what they can do. And because of that, because they're giving that opportunity, I think they're taking advantage of that and they're going, hey, man, it's my time to shine. It's my time to show what I can do and prove to everybody here that should we be missing some other key elements or maybe some guys decide to retire next year, they can be confident in what they have here now. We can show them that we're an established O-line, that we can drive this team, we can help this team out. So I love to see that. I love to see the fight in everybody across the board, whether they be wide receivers, running backs, Rico Dotto, like you said. Again, we haven't been playing any world-beating teams. We haven't been playing the greatest teams on in the NFL yet. And when we did, we would get spanked. But besides that, you know, right now we're looking good. He had 149 yards for 25 carries in the game against Carolina. You know, that's the highest amount of yards that he's had in a game since
But
yet.
we should be giving him 20 plus
Yeah.
every game, bro.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And quitting on the run.
Yeah, and that's something that's you can tell that the Cowboys are teetering with that. One minute they want to be pass heavy. The next minute they're trying to do, they see that the pass isn't working because Cooper's trying to do the little dump passes over the middle of the field, and that's not picking anything up. So then all of a sudden they turn back to the run, and because they turn back to the run, they start getting some momentum there that opens up your opportunities to throw the ball down the field. So it makes complete sense why they have the game scheme the way that they have. I wish, like you said, I wish that they would hand the ball off more to allow him to open up those opportunities, because when he does have good runs, you see a couple plays after that, we have a good passing play. We have those hits down the field. Hell, I think that was the first time I ever seen Cooper Rush throw over 15 yards for somebody to catch the damn ball. He actually went deep at one point. I was like, where the hell did this come from? Normally he's just dumping them 10, 5, 15 yards. That's it. And now he's a 25-yard pass? What? Where did that come from? So the offense, all in all, the offense they're progressively getting better. Are they great? No, by any stretch of the means, as we've all talked about before, we're a 6-8 team. We're at this point right now, I'm not very hopeful that, oh yes, even though that we see it all across social media and a bunch of media platforms where they're like, well, there's a 0.2 chance that the Cowboys may make it to the playoffs because if so and so loses and this team does this, and trying to get that hope, trying to sell hope like Jerry would. But
Friendly neighborhood hope dealer.
yeah, but at the end of the day, I understand where we're at right now. We're not in a position, even if we were to make the playoffs, we're not in a position to do anything with that. Even if we were to do something, even if we were to make it. So for me, the thing that I love the most is that I see the team not quitting. You see people step up, like you said, CD steps up and feels, even though with a bum shoulder, he's still putting in work out there. He's trying his best, his hardest to try to get open, to be a distraction while he's out in the field. You see guys step up like Brandon Cooks. You see Jalen Tolbert out there stepping up. Schoonmaker, however you say his last name, step up and make some catches. Ferg sometimes showing glimpses of him trying to make something happen. So those are all positives that you see. And the thing that I can take away from a Cowboys fan's perspective is that I love to see that they're fighting still, that they haven't just given up. You know, if we lose again, if we lose organically or organically, like you say. You know, it's not something that we're, oh yeah, we're meaning we're forcing a loss, yeah, type deal. We're not doing that. We want to see you fight for every single thing you get. I mean, during the duration of the game, you had the first quarter was 0-0. Second quarter, we were 10-7. Third quarter, we outscored them 14-0. And then the fourth quarter, I mean, the third quarter, and then the fourth quarter, we ended up 6-7, but we still ended up with 30 points. So, I mean, you can't put a better game plan together other than that. That's how you want to win games. You know, so I took that away as far as the offense goes. Now, as far as the defense, as you know, I love the defense. I love defensive play. And those guys have been showing up and showing out. Micah Parsons, all of a sudden out of nowhere, and I know he was hurt for a while there, but all of a sudden out of nowhere, you know, you get Micah Parsons that's just showing up, and he is actually here at the end of the season. Typically, by this time around, he's already fizzled out. He's been used so much. He's gassed. He doesn't have enough gas in the tank to be able to keep going throughout the duration of the game. And he ends up taking a lot of time out and sitting on the sidelines and stuff. And this time around, man, you see him and he's going at 100 miles an hour, trying to get to the quarterback, trying to make plays. You know, the defense is stepping up and they're showing out, and they're showing that they're not just going to quit and roll over and be like, yeah, just go ahead and run up the score on us, run a ton of yards on us. And there again, before everybody gets all hype and stuff, you know, yes, I am Dallas Cowboys till I die, till the end of time, for life, all that stuff. And I would love to see them win by 40 every fucking week. But at the same time, we're not beating, you know, the Detroit Lions that are 12-2 now. You know, we're not beating the Philadelphia Eagles that are 10-2. We're not beating those types of teams. We're beating, you know, the Carolina Panthers that are 3-10. That what they were 3-10 when they were playing us. Now they're 3-11. You know, we beat the New York Giants that, let's just be honest, they're just a garbage team. So it's not anything significant from who we're beating, but to see that they're still continuing to fight to try to win games is what's important to me. And I'm very, very eager to see what the game is going to bring and what the team is going to bring in general when we play Tampa next week.
Yeah, man. So for me, just a quick question for you, Julio. I know you touched on Micah just kind of looking better this year and
Mm-hmm.
not burnt out by this point in the season. I guess my question for you, just kind of thinking about it, is could that be because he missed a few games being injured during the year?
I want to say that I want to say it is. I want to say that factors in a little bit on that because when you think about it, we utilize Micah so much, and it's very hard to get him off the field. We've seen clips in the past where, you know, when we try to pull him out for him to catch a breath or to catch a breather or whatever the case may be, he sits there and then, you know, you can see him yelling at the coaches and being like, man, I want to get back out there. I'm trying to put myself back in there to help the team win, which I get. But I think that this time around, because he was injured, because he was hurt, and he had that duration of time where, you know, he wasn't out there. He's not running his gas tank to completely empty before we get to the end part of the season. Now, because he still has that full gas tank, he's able to utilize it more and use it when we need it. And I think something for him is that he looks leaner. He looks like he's in a better space, headspace. You can tell that he cares because, you know, he gets disappointed when we lose. He gets he gets super excited when we win, and that's what his mindset is he wants to win. He doesn't care about everything else.
Yeah, he looks more positive around this time of year. I haven't seen Micah this positive and enthusiastic this late in the season before. I mean, he's like hey, we got championship aspirations, we got playoff aspirations. Like, we're not just gonna lay down and die. And I feel like that is kind of infectious for that defense to kind of see your young, no pun intended, but to see your young lion out there like trying to lead the pack. And he's like, hey man, I had to lead by example. And this is kind of what we talked about earlier in the season of Micah, you ain't got to talk about it, be about it, and everybody will kind of follow you. You see guys like Osa Odigizua playing his tail off, dog. Since week 10, nobody has more quarterback touches than Osa Odigizua in the NFL. Yep. Since week 10. That's crazy. You know, number 2, Micah Parsons. You know who number 3 is? TJ Watt. So, I mean, you look at that stat and you're like, damn, we got the 2 guys that are getting to the quarterback, getting their hands on them. As we have those guys since week 10, we have the 2 leaders. That's always nice. A big name that I will say that really stepped up this past weekend. I was very down when DeMarvion Overshown went down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that really sucked. I was like, we really lost something there. And then you have Leofau come in, and I mean, he was playing like a man possessed. Like his hair was on fire. He was all over the field. He was making tackles. He was stuffing the run in the backfield. I'm like, bro, that's so encouraging to see that.
Yeah.
Because you weren't expecting that kind of play after the Overshown went down. You're like, damn, like, that sucks. But then they're talking to Micah and they're like, hey, tell us about Leofau, man. Like, what can you tell us? And he's like, dude, Leofau, you can put the green dot on his helmet right now. Like, that guy can run this defense. If need be, you put the green dot on him, he's ready to lead this defense. I'm like, that's strong words for a guy like that, a young cat like that. Marshawn,
and coming from one of your leaders on the defense too.
It speaks volumes. Marshawn Nealon looking good out there. Eric Kendricks looking good out there. I mean, he's making tackles. Obviously, Micah trying to do what Micah does, gets to the quarterback, playing the run pretty well. But you're encouraged by that, bro. Trayvon Diggs out for the season now. You hate to see that. Apparently, the knee is a bigger issue than they initially anticipated it would be. There's word coming out now, allegedly, that the Cowboys front office is not happy with the way Diggs attacked his offseason rehab. And now they're like, could we possibly get rid of Trayvon Diggs? Because, we can get something for him? Maybe. I know him and Micah have a really good connection, but
if I had to pick one or the other, I'm gonna pick Micah before I pick him.
Absolutely.
Because let's be honest, he hasn't looked the same after that injury. After he had that injury, he has not looked this. He has not been the same Trayvon Diggs that we initially got the first 2 seasons or 1 season that he's been here. So it's to me, it's a no-brainer that if it comes down to that, and I don't think that it would even be a bad thing, that is, if we were to try to utilize him as some sort of trade value in the offseason to get him to get something else, a bigger name or a higher draft pick or something of that nature, I don't see why it would be a bad thing. I'd be like, hell yeah. I mean, yes, he was at one point one of the premier cornerbacks in the league, had I think the league record in interceptions in a year or in a season, if I remember right. I don't know if it was him or it was somebody else, but Landed. Yeah. So, I mean, but still, he was a shutdown corner at the beginning, but then after the injury, he kind of fell off to the wayside. And it's been one of those things to where it's hit and miss. One game he'll show out, another game he'll be like, you could tell that he's very timid now when it comes to tackling, especially in open field. So for me, if it came down to that choice, I'd be like, you know what, we're keeping Micah, but Diggs has got to go. Yeah. Just to see what we have available to us.
Yeah, and listening to Stephen Jones speak on 105.3 The Fan earlier this week, I mean, he's thrown out possibilities that maybe we don't even have the money to sign Micah. He's like, we got Dak that we paid and CD that we paid, and Micah may not be here. And then Micah's on his podcast, and Micah's like, we're gonna do whatever it takes to be a Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure his agent hates that because Micah's like 40 million, 30 million. It's a lot of money either way. I don't got to be the top paid guy. I'm sure his agent hates that as well. But I mean, Micah's just different, bro. He's like, I want to retire by the time I'm 30. So we'll give him his payday and then let him be on his way as long as he continues to produce. It's just a weird situation between the front office and the players that we have. But I mean,
definitely.
On the game though, man, the Cowboys look good. I can't believe we ran Bailey out there, or I'm sorry, Bailey, Aubrey out there for us.
Getting flashbacks, bro.
I'm telling you, we ran him out for a 70-yarder. And I mean,
bro,
I think oogly.
It was ugly, but I'll tell you what, I actually was looking for when they sent him out there. I was semi excited. I was like, bro, if he hits this is a record.
Yeah,
it's an NFL record.
It's never getting broken,
bro. And I'm just glad that he got the opportunity to try.
Yeah,
I think that he should get another opportunity. I think that he just kind of was off on that one kick because we've seen him hit it from 64 before, 60. I think his longest is 66. I could be wrong. Yeah. So, I mean, another 4 yards deep. I mean, come on.
Leg for it, fam. He got the leg for it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.